Today's guest, listen, I think is going to be a little exciting. It's a different take on what is important for us in beauty, but it's going to be one of the most important things. So if you're like most of us in the health and beauty industry, you research and carefully choose which skincare products to use. You know, while it's certainly very important, there's also another aspect that we all tend to forget when it comes to healthy, younger looking skin. And that is the quality of your tap water, something that we're washing our face with every single day. In fact, social media has been buzzing lately, you know, with discussions about how water you can use every day. Activities like showering, washing your face will significantly impact the health and appearance of your skin. So to shed light on this trending topic, we're bringing in an expert who will share the truth on everything you need to know about water in your skin. So joining us today is Helen Christoni. She is a passionate health and wellness executive and the vice president of AquaTru. Helen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, listen, I know that you've dedicated your career to promoting healthy living and educating people about the importance of clean and safe water. And during our conversation here, we'll address some of these burning questions from our audience members, including whether your tap water is responsible for causing that breakout-prone skin, and is something as simple as a filter can alleviate chronic skin issues like eczema. I think maybe we dive right into it, and the first thing is, you know, let's talk about tap water. The most important thing in front of us right now. All of us use it. We wash our face with it. We shower in it. You know, what common contaminants might most people be surprised to find in their water?
Well, I think first of all, everybody needs to know what's going on in their tap water. And as you go from different municipality to municipality, the landscape really changes. And so what I recommend that everybody do, and not when you're driving, when you have a minute, everyone should go to ewg.org, and that is www.ewg.org. That's the Environmental Working Group. And there's a place where you can put your zip code in. And you put your zip code in, and it gives you a reading of all the contaminants detected in your area. And so when I did that, like when I got in this business and I started working with AquaTru, of course I want to drink purified water, but I didn't really realize the levity of what was going on in my water until I did this. And it was definitely my aha moment. So when I checked my own water, and I live here in the foothills in Los Angeles, I had 16 contaminants that exceed the EWG guidelines. And the one that really kind of pissed me off personally was chromium-6, right? Like everybody knows about Erin Brockovich and her movie. Definitely. And Erin Brockovich was talking about chromium-6 30 years ago. I mean, I was a young girl and this movie came out. So chromium-6 was in my water supply at 22 times the EWG health guidelines. And chromium-6 causes cancer, and, then you have other things like I had like chloroform at 22 times the health guidelines, arsenic, which is horrible for our skin.
All the worst poisons.
At 111 times the health guidelines. And so, nobody should think that, we shouldn't be drinking tap water, and we definitely shouldn't be washing our face with it if we're concerned about our skin. And there's only so much we can do, but I think that it's important that you really understand what's in your water supply. And what I'm talking about and what's on the ewg.org site are only things that are recognized by the Environmental Protection Agency. So water is a very complex topic. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you more about it today.
Love that.
I just looked on this EWG site and I'm like, oh boy, I shouldn't.
Arsenic 430
times arsenic in my water. And it's scary because I have a young child and Dr. Layke's got children, and we're bathing in this water.
Jeez.
I mean, I don't drink the tap water, but you really got me really concerned now. So I can't wait to talk to you.
It begs the question, first of all, how did they get there? And then secondly, what health guidelines are in place when it comes to water quality?
The Environmental Working Group And the EPA, like they hadn't updated the water regulations for 20 years until just recently. And there are a lot of like new contaminants, like everybody's talking about PFAS and forever chemicals, and they've just been recognized. And so what happens is that the contaminants are addressed at the municipality level before it leaves kind of to go into the waterways, but all of our waterways are derived of lead here in the United States of America. So as it travels from, the water plant to your home, it's going through waterways, broken pipes, all these things. And so it might leave in good shape, but by the time it gets to you and it travels to your home, it's just not what we're getting as the finished results into our homes. And one thing I always like to point out, and it's really important that everyone hears this, and it's kind of my thing that I say, is contaminants don't boil out. And so, people have this concept that if you boil water, you're boiling out contaminants. Some contaminants you're actually concentrating when you're boiling them. And the only thing that's really boiling out of water is bacteria. And so all of these contaminants and forever chemicals, they concentrate. And so it's really important because a lot of people cook with tap water also, and they think because they're cooking it that it's safe. Really what you're doing is you're just removing any of the bacteria that may be in the water supply.
Why is it that the government is so behind in regulating these contaminants?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just they don't want to get into a position where it's not economically feasible to have a clean water supply. The government did recently pass a $15 billion infrastructure bill that's going to go towards redoing some of our waterways here in the United States. But just to put it in perspective, the bill that they passed will take 15 years to complete and will only cover 25% of the lead waterways here in the United States. So in our lifetime, we won't see the kind of water crisis be dealt with in our country. So it's just people really have to, if you're concerned about your water, and it should be important to everybody because it's in the water. There's a lot of cancer-causing agents, things that aren't good for our skin, hair, anything in our water supply, that you're taking steps at home to really help. And knowing what's in your water is a really good place to start.
Yeah, listen, that's where, again, for the listeners out there, go to ewg.org, take a look, put in your zip code and see what contaminants are in there. As segue, you were discussing, we should really be aware, when it comes to hair and skin. So can you explain what hard water is? We, sometimes we hear so many different definitions of it. I think my parents even said they have something that creates soft water. And what exactly is hard water?
So hard water is what happens when there's too many minerals in the water, like magnesium and calcium. So there's all this like mineral buildup that's actually getting into your water supply. And you can tell pretty quickly if you go to a place, like I know immediately if I go wash my hands somewhere and there's hard water, you can feel like almost the mineral coating on your skin. And so, I mean, it's, and there's things that people can do if you have like really heavy water. And what can happen if people are really, sensitive, it can cause dermatitis. It can leave you feeling itchy. You feel kind of dirty after you take a shower or wash your face or wash your hands. And there's things that you can do when you go to a local like Home Depot, Lowe's, home building store that you can address your water and soften your water. And that's exactly what people do. If I think 85% of people in America have hard water. And so, and you know it when you have it because it'll mess with your appliances, it'll mess with your coffee maker, and you can also feel it. So you can go to a local store and there's something that you can do to soften your water.
How does hard water really affect our skin? What kind of contaminants cause these chronic irritations and things like that? Obviously we know that ingesting some of these poisons are horrible. But as far as topical, what are some of the ones that we really should be on the lookout for? So we go to the site, we put it in, and you see 100x of this, and you say, oh, wow, we got to do something.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things in water that we use just to clean water and make it drinkable, like chlorine, that's really not good for your skin. I mean, when you go in and you swim in a pool all day, you know what your skin feels like. I mean, it's totally destroying your barrier and it's drying out your skin. And then also there's bacteria in some people's waters that's coming through the pipes. And so if you have like bacteria in your tap water, that can cause acne, it can cause all kinds of horrible things. And then I think what's really important, and I think I think the most important thing that people need to know is that forever chemicals are in our tap water, and that will not come up on the ewg.org site. So these forever chemicals that don't boil out, they're ingested through your skin. Like your skin is your biggest organ as much as it is if you're like drinking it. And so as you're bathing, and it's a horrible thing to talk about because it's really scary, but as you're washing your face, you're washing your face with forever chemicals, and forever chemicals are forever and they do not break down. And so, it's becoming a really big problem. And so I think it's important that people know that the only way that you can really remove forever chemicals is through reverse osmosis water purification. So if you are concerned about your skin, the number one thing is forever chemicals. They cause cancer. They're not good for you, and they're definitely not good for your skin. And they're also being found in a lot of cosmetic products. They're everywhere. So we just need to pay attention to it, So that's a big thing that, of course, there's chlorine and calcium, magnesium, which is in hard water that we just talked about. All these things are going to coat, congest your pores, get into your skin, like if bacteria gets into your skin. But these forever chemicals are actually like going into your body and can really cause some harm to your person. And other than just skin issues. So we should all really be taking this stuff seriously.
Yeah, listen, we had a patient that had, some obvious contaminants in the water. She was losing hair, and they worked it back to the fact that that there were multiple contaminants in their water, and they had a filtration system that assisted with that. But it's interesting. I mean, I know the building blocks for hair, but how does this tear the hair down like that? I mean, it really is crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple things. If you don't have a healthy scalp, you're not going to have healthy hair. So if you're like washing your hair in hard water and you're closing up all your hair follicles, and it's going to really have a bad effect on your hair health. Also, all these chlorines and things that where the municipalities are putting into your water is just stripping all of your
natural oils in the hair.
Keratin. Yeah,
yes.
The keratin and the natural oils from your hair. And so shower water is really, really not good for people that are concerned about their hair or doing treatments to it. Like, for instance, like people are going out and spending all this money on keratin treatments, things like this, Brazilian blowouts. I mean, tap water will just chew that right out of your hair. And there's actually products that you can buy that coat the hair before you get in the shower, so you can prolong your services that you're getting in the salon. So I think that it's kind of hitting us from everywhere. And a couple of things that people can do is just not sit under that running water longer than necessary.
But it feels so good.
People really I know. And, but really, like, if you don't have a shower filter, like there are shower filters, I think it's really important that when people are buying filters for their shower, their sink, or for drinking water, that they understand that they need something that's certified to NSF standards, and that it's tested and certified to actually remove contaminants from your water. And there are a lot of solutions out there today where people can put on their sinks that will help. It might not take everything out, but it will take some of the stuff out.
What you're talking about, is this water in the entire country? generally speaking? Because again, we've got listeners and viewers from all over the country, and I know that LA's had its problems, and California has some issues in areas, but does this really kind of apply for everywhere pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, 247 million Americans have arsenic in their water. So, I mean, 2 out of 3 homes in the United States have some sort of contaminant in their water. And like I said earlier, our leadways are our waterways are made of lead. And so unless you have like a well, and that's a whole other conversation. When people have wet well water, they need to treat it, and there's ways to do that. But most people are on the infrastructure, and by the time it hits our house, there's forever chemicals and these things in it.
I remember when we lived in New York, they'd be like, "Drink the tap water; it's safe." And it's interesting because I never been that guy. I always kind of get a bottle of water and drink it, but it's even more interesting with what you're saying and with what we do for a living, how detrimental just taking a shower can be. And I'm very excited to hear your solution for it.
Are there specific skincare products or routines that can help counteract some of the negative effects that have already occurred on the skin? Where do we start from here? So for our listeners and viewers, obviously, I think we're going to probably move into you had alluded to it earlier, the reverse osmosis and filtration systems and things like that. But let's say we're there. Obviously, we want to eliminate the offending agent first, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But is there something that you would recommend now that can help kind of treat some of the issues that have been caused?
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, when it comes to skincare, I'm a firm believer that you don't need to wash your face twice a day. You know what I mean? Like, you go to bed, you do your skincare treatment, you wake up in the morning. I really don't think it's necessary to like do another cleanse at that point. And there's all kinds of cosmetic products that you can use that'll cleanse your skin without like really having to get in the water. There's all kinds of facial cleansing towelettes, and you could have like bottled RO water in your bathroom where you could take off your makeup with it. There's ways to if you think about it, you don't have to do it. So you could just put some purified water in a glass bottle and use that to start your cleansing process at home. And so that's one of the things that I suggest, because I think that a lot of the contaminants that's coming through our tap water in our bathroom sinks, putting a filter on that isn't going to address all the issues. And so really taking care of the household and really thinking from a beauty from the inside out standpoint, it's really important that people have reverse osmosis water or purified water in the home to start with. So you have a really, really clean foundation. And reverse osmosis will address the minerals, it'll address the forever chemicals, and it will address a lot of things that gravity filters just will not. And how it works is your water actually goes through this filter process, not to get too complicated, but the contaminated water stays on one side of the membrane and pure water comes through the other. So what you're left with after the end of a reverse osmosis product, similar like what we have in AquaTru, is clean, pure water. And from there, you can add things to it. Like for skin, you can add rose to it, you can add lemon to it, you can add cucumber to it, and you're starting from a really, really clean standpoint.
So obviously, not all water filters are created equal. And so what should our viewers and listeners be looking for when they're buying a water filter? And what whole house filters do you recommend? So let's say, all right, we don't want to, there's 18 sinks in the bathroom and all the bathrooms, kitchens and everything else. What can we do as far as a whole house filtration system?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, whole house filtration systems, they're out there. They're just very expensive. I mean, you're looking at like tens of $1,000s. And the issue with whole house systems is that they require a lot of maintenance and they're very expensive and they waste a lot of water. So those are like kind of the challenges with whole house systems. For most people that rent or can't afford to drop like $10,000 or $20,000 on a whole house RO system, there's things that you can do at the sink level that can really address a lot of the things. But to answer your question about, are all water purifiers created equal? No, they're not. So a lot of water filters, like like a, pitcher filter, let's say, or a fridge filter, are made from carbon. They're a carbon block filter. And basically, those are created just to make water taste better. They're not really created to remove a lot of these super harmful contaminants out of the skin. And so they're just pulling out like the chlorine, the chloramines, things like that are like tinting your, we have that heavy chlorine smell in your water. That's what it's doing. It's making it so it tastes good. And maybe they remove some like big offenders. And water purification requires pressure. So the more pressure coming through a water purifier, the better. So pitcher is kind of not the best. I think that
so the Brita filters, the common Brita filters that everybody has, including us at the office, is probably not the best one. Okay.
Oh, you guys, I'm going to send you an AquaTru.
I can't wait.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Brita is like, look, it's a really good starting point to get into. It's better than nothing. But the problem with carbon filters is if you don't change that filter, like right when you need to change the filter, this contaminants can actually leach back into the water. So you're getting like a super dose of contaminants. So this can get pretty gross, but I think it's a good place to start. But you got to mind your filter change, make sure Siri or Alexa or someone's helping you change your filters. The next level, and that's marginally better, is our fridge filters or faucet filters, because the water's being shot through the filter with pressure. You need pressure to clean water. And so anything that's got some pressure behind it is going to be a little bit better, even if it is a carbon. The gold standard of water purification, though, is reverse osmosis. So what we recommend and what we have at AquaTru is we really have reverse osmosis systems for every type of household, whether you're have a small apartment and you're a single person, or you're renting, or you own your home. So we do have systems that go under the sink that are just a couple $100 that will really kind of go put your water through a whole RO process. We do it at the kitchen sink level, and I was thinking about this as I was getting ready for this podcast today, and it may be possible to I was thinking like I should put my under the sink in my bathroom and see how it works. I haven't done it yet. But also we have other options that are like pitchers. Like we have these beautiful one called the AquaTru Carafe, that it's actually a glass pitcher and it's pretty romantic. Like you can take that around your home with you, and it removes 83 contaminants. So it's certified to NSF standards to remove 83 contaminants. And so they're pretty affordable. They really work, and you'll have peace of mind that you're not dealing with arsenic, any of these heavy metals, minerals, or forever chemicals, which everyone should really be thinking about.
I'm actually checking out the website as we speak, and these are, there's some.
Looks really cool.
There's some great options. They're really great, and the price is very affordable for the listeners, because sometimes when we talk about these things, reverse osmosis or even making water alkaline, because I can see you can do that too with your products. It can get very expensive, and this is great because just about everyone can afford this.
When it comes to, he had just made reference to it, Kangen water and all these things that change the pH of your water. Is that something that you recommend, or does it alter the filtration system when we do that? What would your recommendations be?
So we at AquaTru, we do have a remineralizing filter that raises the pH and makes the water more alkaline. That's a very personal preference. Like some people, like myself, I like crisp, clean water. Other people really, really love mineral water. And so it just kind of depends, on, what your preference is. There's a lot of people that really, really love alkaline water with a high pH. And so at AquaTru, we have a filter that's an option. So if that's your preference, you can choose that remineralizing filter that raises the pH and makes the water alkaline, and you'll still get the same level of filtration. I am not sure about the other companies, because I know that we have such a high rigor when it comes to third-party testing and validation, that we're certified to this really high bar of NSF standard. So I think that's always a benchmark when you're looking at water filtration. It has to be certified to NSF standards, and that means that it's certified to the filter life. So a lot of water companies make these claims but they don't have the certification, and they might only remove, let's pull lead out, for 2 weeks, and not the 6 months that we think that the filter should last for. And so NSF certification is very, very important.
Listen, I've definitely learned a lot here. If for our listeners and our viewers, let's say they want to find out more about you and AquaTru, where would you send them? What should they do? How can they purchase your products? Things like that.
Okay, so we're at AquaTru.com, and it's www.aquatru, AQUATRU.com. And I believe we have a special discount for you guys today, and I have no idea what it is.
I love it. We will have it for you, and we'll definitely put it as a part of our podcast and post it on our social channels, just so we can, because this is great, and I think everyone should have water reverse osmosis purification, because there's simple ways to do it. This is really going to get everything out, and you have really educated me today, so I really want to thank you. And I didn't know that we are washing our face with so much.
Yeah, you know what? My wife is a bath lover, and so it's interesting because as you're soaking in all of these contaminants, you're actually damaging your skin, and you're doing these things. So I think some of these things have to be reevaluated.
We really need to think about what we're doing, and unfortunately, we need to take our water quality into our own hands and make sure that, and I mean, for sure, no one should be drinking or cooking with any tap water. And if you could bring some purified water into your bathroom to wash your face, or, find a filter that works for you for your shower or something like that. I just think it's a really good solution for everybody.
Do they make an adequate filter? Seeing as adding pressure is always a great thing. Do they make an adequate filter that you would recommend that, is up to NSF standards for your shower, as far as a shower head?
I know there's a lot of really popular shower filters that are coming on the market. It's really, I am not sure about their NSF certification, but it's something that you should look at on their website. So when you're reviewing these different shower head filters, just make sure that you're looking through and that they have some data sheets that are really clear about the contaminants that they're removing. And if they're certified, they'll have that information on the website.
For all the viewers and listeners, I hope you have learned something here today. I definitely know that we have.
Definitely.
And Helen, thank you so much for joining us today, taking the time out to educate us. Some of these things are a little shocking, and I think the general public is unaware. And we always assume that, we've got this filtration system in our house, that everything should be completely fine. But turns out, sometimes we don't maintain those as much as we should. And so for all the listeners out there, definitely pay attention, be on the lookout, change your filters as often as you can. Reverse osmosis as a filter would obviously be the gold standard. For those of you who can't afford, some of the more expensive ones, just do your research and look and make sure that the filter is NSF certified. And again, if there's any other tips you'd like to give us, we're all ears.
Thanks, you guys. Well, I think the number one thing is, we're beauty from the inside out. Skin's our biggest organ. So just make sure that you're thinking about your water quality for you and your family. And, you have to start small and go from there. So any small steps you can make, just start thinking about it, and the rest will all fall in place.
Thank you again.
More exciting episodes just like this. Watch here now. You want to get some advice? I would take it from the 55-year-old person that looks absolutely flawless and then follow that skincare routine. I definitely am not going to take it from a 19-year-old that feels that, using some trend they found on TikTok is going to work on their skin. There's just no science.